Hi, welcome to Downriver, and I'm gonna read chapter 11 today. I'm gonna do it two parts though. Last chapter, I'm pretty sure Al showed up, and then all the guys were surprised because remember they snuck out of him, right? They left him somewhere in the convenience store or the office while looking for or while asking for a permit for their whitewater rafting. But yeah, so they left Al and now he found them. And the fun continues. Okay, chapter 11. Al's eyes went from Pug's buck knife in his sheath to Pug's face. Good guess of poison ivy you got there, Pug. I see you discovered the falls at Vase's paradise. Pug only grunted. Then Al looked into our eyes, one person at a time. It was obvious he wasn't afraid of Pug or any of us. It was more as if he was asking how we could do this to him. He shook his head. So what do you guys think of what you're doing? He asked. What are we doing? Adam replied melodramatically. What are we doing? We are searching. That's it. We are all searching for something. Some searching for justice, others for lost honors, others for gold, glory, or enlightenment. Some of us are searching for the Northwest Passage, some the lost continent of Mu, others a mislaid toothbrush. Some of us are searching for the cure to cancer, others seek to mend broken hearts. How about the San Juan River? Al suggested wearily. Are any of you searching for that? We were afraid of it, Troy said sarcastically. We thought you were going to kill us all. We thought we should tune up first. Yeah, Pug said. Get in some practice, said Pug. Al pointed to the big water. Hence, Rapids should be a good tune-up. At this water level, it's about a 9 on a 10 scale. Done fine so far, Rita blurted out. Look, Al said decisively, and his hands made a quick karate drop in the air. This is hands, and it's the only first of the big drops. Adam responded to the karate chop by springing to another boulder and adopting a ninja pose. As we giggled at the sight, Al pointed downstream and raised his voice even higher over the roar of the rapid. That's the inner gorge down there. Suck, Dolager, Horn Creek, Granite, Hermit, Crystal, Lava. You even hear of Lava Falls? The steepest navigatable rapid in North America? Sure, Troy answered nonchalantly. You told us about that in Westwater. This time, Al pointed to the sky. A ribbed layer of high, thin clouds was racing towards us from downstream. Add weather, Al said. I think the weather's gonna change. Think about that. This is October we're talking about. And when it rains, you're gonna freeze. Late October and no wetsuits? You have no idea what it can be like down here. So far, it's been a picnic. Hardly any private trips. No one to rescue you if you get into trouble. You haven't even run on one of the big drops yet. The big drops? The name alone made me feel sick. Thanks a lot for the advice, Troy said. Now, bat out. Al gave Troy a quick appraisal and shook his head. So you're the leader, Troy. That's what I guessed. Your idea to begin with? Mine, Pug declared. No, mine, Rita said. Who's rowing the gearboat? Troy. Troy is, I said, and he hasn't had any trouble. Troy shot me an approving glance while Al gave me an annoyed look. A look that indicated he's expected better of the professor's daughter, and said, Well, I'm rowing through Hans. I'm joining you guys whether you like it or not. I can get you through Hans and then the rest in one piece. Troy laughed. Hey, don't worry about us. These are my boats, Troy. My gear. You don't have the experience to be running this river. Aside from being responsible for your safety, I have my investment to protect. I never thought about that. Al wasn't exactly wealthy, and he had an awful lot tied up in his gear. Everybody turned silent for a minute and looked out at the rapid. It was ferocious. The sun was off of us. The wind was whistling up the canyon, and it was turning cold fast. Better camp here tonight, Al said. If we have trouble in hands, there's no recovery all the way through Sockdolager and below. No camp until Grapevine. It was odd hearing the names of everything and hearing about what was waiting for us downriver. It made everything scarier, but I'm sure that's what Al had in mind. We made camp, and Al insinuated himself back in the middle of us. He helped unload the boats, set up the kitchen, and start dinner. It gave us a lift physically, but it was highly strange to have him here among us after so much time by ourselves. We whispered a lot. Troy and I were suddenly as close as ever. Everybody was asking what Troy was going to do. Troy was saying we'd get together later without Al and talk about it. As we lined up for the green chili casserole, Al was right here with plate and fork along with the rest of us. Pug was getting really uptight, trying to use his bulk to keep Al from advancing too close to the casserole, all the while appealing to Troy with his eyes. Pug finally said, "Hey Troy, are we going to let this guy eat our food?" I remember my father saying that even the fiercest tribes in the Sahara Desert would share bread and salt with their enemies. Troy's and my eyes meet. He was uncertain. "There's plenty," I whispered. "'Cause we're going to feed, course we're going to feed him," Rita said, jumping up and grabbing the serving spoon, dishing out a healthy portion. "It's not like you're going to starve, Bug." Al got his quizzical look on his face, like he was almost enjoying the situation. We ate for a couple minutes in silence, looking around at each other and taking in how much Al changed everything. "Good green chili," Al said, "one of my favorite meals." Adam dragged the rocket box he was sitting on over next to Al and sat down. "So how'd you know we'd be right here right now?" he asked with a conspirational wink. "Satellite photography? You got the CIA on our case?" Al shrugged. "I saw you from the tower on the rim." "Through a telescope?" Pug asked eagerly. "That's right. I knew we should have mooned them." "Too bad," Al remarked dryly. "An opportunity for greatness lasts forever, hey? So I took off down the new Hans trail. I knew you'd have to pull out to scout Hans." Adam whistled with his admiration. "Bet you had to hustle." "Look, guys, I appreciate the meal, but I have to wonder, have you been rationing your food?" Nobody answered. If anything, we were borrowing from supplies intended for future meals. Rita especially liked to spice things up, and Pug was always nibbling. I even wondered if he nibbled at the food that was hard to count, like dried food and trail mix in the middle of the night. "Looks like you haven't. Let's see. 10 days of food, and you're a mile 70 and on your 6th day. You aren't quite a third on the way through the canyon." "A third of the way?" Rita gasped. "Mile 76, I thought." I looked around. Everybody was shook up. "Looks like you're in for some fasting." "Troy," Rita said, "what made you think we could do this trip in 10 days? In my mind, I was inventorying the dwindling food supplies in the rocket boxes. "We have plenty of rice," I said. It's all relative," Al said. "When Major Powell and his men were here in Hans in 1869, they were the first. They were living on coffee grounds and rancid bacon." Al looked around, and he could see what has plenty as worried. "Are you taking off at Diamond Creek, Troy, or Lake Mead?" "Figure it out when we get there," Troy mumbled. Al reached into his pack, pulled out a waterproof mile-by-mile guide to the Grand Canyon, and began turning back the pages. "Let's see. Hans is at mile 76, and Diamond Creek's Road at 225, and Fierce Fair's at 280. Of course, if we go all the way to Fierce, the last 40 miles, I suppose, is on Lake Mead, even though it still looks like a river on the guide. No current in there. Did you arrange for a motorboat to pull you out?" "We'll deal with it when we get there," Troy said tiredly. "Could I see that guide?" I asked. I started paging through the guide. It was a goldmine of information, not only rating all the rapids and showing all the camps, but with sections about geology, all the plants and animals of the canyon. the history of river running in the Grand Canyon, even a chart on the daily tides so you could predict at a certain mile on the river when high and low flows would reach you. Look at this star, I exclaimed. As chance would have it, it happened on a photograph of the big cavern where we braided Rita's hair. We camped right here. It's called Redwall Cavern. Oops, it says no camping allowed, but they did as well. So Al was shocked. He was looking at us like we were crazy. Bigger fools than he'd never even given us credit for. You don't mean to tell me that you don't have a mile-by-mile guide? We make it up as we go, Adam said proudly. We make up our own names for big things. This camp, for example, we'll call Camp where Big Al brings the book down from the mountain. Wait a minute, you have to be kidding. You really don't have a mile-by-mile guide? Is there an echo in here? Crowed Rita. Did Powell have that camp? Or that map, sorry? Tri said. I thought you were big on wilderness therapy, Al. Self-reliance and all that. We're doing everything you said. Do something great and all that. Remember? Okay, so that will be the part 1 of chapter 11. And I'll record another part.